Hi, I'm Christy Conway with Charleston Home and Design Magazine, and I'm here today in this very cool Mount Pleasant home with Freddie Giovelli of Port City Glass and Mirror, and of course, we've got the homeowner Blake Comer of Comer Construction. How are you guys doing?
Good, thank you.
Good. Okay, so this is your home, but you're also obviously a builder.
Yes.
So this is pretty important to you then, right?
Yes,
Okay.
it was.
So you choose people for this home that you've trusted in the past with other projects, I'd imagine.
Yes, I have. I mean, I've worked with, several contractors, subcontractors throughout the years and stuff, and knowing that this was going to be my personal home, a lot of times in the past it's been whether the homeowner is solely on a budget standpoint, and we've had to go with just budget bids and other subcontractors. Mine, although I was still on a budget, it was more about trust and the relationships of the companies that I wanted to use.
And so for your shower doors and mirrors and some of your shelving, you chose Port City Glass and Mirror.
Yes.
Okay.
Whatever.
And can you explain to people watching the video why you chose them?
Yeah, Port City is. I've been involved with Port City for, I guess, the 10 years, almost 10 years that I've been in Charleston now from Greenville, and I've also used other glass companies as well. And Port City has always kind of won me over because one of their competitive pricing, but also because of the relationships that they build. They do what they say they're going to do. They don't kind of jerk you around a little bit, and that relationship is very, very important in the building world. There's so many time-sensitive steps in the whole process, and Port City always follows through with what they say they're going to do, when they say they're going to do it, or if there's a glitch in the system, then that whole relationship and personal involvement is that they let you know what's going on, and which is just, again, as I said, just very important in our business. And due to the fact that this was my house, I wanted that. I didn't want to feel like that I needed to, have to necessarily babysit people over here on the job. And again, with most of the subcontractors that I use, it was those subcontractors that I felt comfortable with and trusted that they were going to come over here and not cut corners or not, kind of pull me or, jerk, jerk me around or anything like that. And that's why I've always used Port City. And again, with this being my personal home, there was a personal commitment to it that Port City Glass kind of always reflects in the jobs that they do. They're personally involved in it.
And you've worked with Freddie numerous times.
I have. Whatever. Freddie's always been great to work with. He usually comes out on the jobs and is involved in the measuring, and on the front end will come out and give me an estimate, up front. That's, that's of course just like any other estimate. It's not guaranteed, but he comes out and gives me a very competitive price, and it helps me a lot of times, and the homeowner, think things through. A lot of times homeowners, and when they're renovating and stuff, aren't really sure what they want. They know, hey, I want a shower door. Hey, I want you to build me a house. I want trim around the windows. Well, they don't know what kind. And so again, Freddie's very knowledgeable and with everything, and coming out there and sitting down with a homeowner as well as he did with me and my wife, and said, what exactly do you want? What are you looking for in the bathroom or the kitchen to tie this in with? Do you want the the brush nickel, the brass, and which way the door swings, and the heavier glass? And so it's just not about selling the product. There are a lot of people that, again, just want to sell. Hey, I'm ready to take your order. And theirs is more of, have you thought about this? Think about this. I'm not selling you necessarily the high-end stuff, but I'm selling you what I'm hearing you say that you want.
What you want and need,
And so Freddie's been great on that.
Okay, cool. Now, Freddie, can you explain exactly what you provided Blake here in the home?
Well, we did his mirrors. That was the simple part. We also did the heavy shower doors in 3 of the bathrooms, right? Okay. The master bath, and then 2 of the kids' baths. And we just did the 3/8 frameless showers with brushed nickel finish. They're just custom made to fit his openings that he's provided to us.
To explain to people that might not kind of fully understand, frameless, you mean not the traditional on the track type of shower
basically
door.
Frameless. Some people call it seamless. It does have seams. That's a misnomer there, but it's basically it's heavy glass, which When you don't use heavy glass, you need framing to help support it. Otherwise, it would be unsafe. So when you use heavy glass, you in turn need less support. Like we just use these little 2-inch by 2-inch brackets to hold the fixed panels in. And fixed panels, of course, means not the door. And then on the door itself, it's usually just a handle and 2 hinges. It's pretty simple. It's clean. It's very functional. It's durable.
Yeah, what I like about it is that it is clean. I mean,
Yeah.
I have the other kind of variation of a glass door, and I'll tell you, those cracks are like magnets for dirt,
Oh, yeah.
and disgusting
Exactly.
mold, and
And because half the time you can't really get to
Right.
it, and then you see when it's really nasty. So yeah, that's the great thing about these things is they look clean, and then they're fairly easy to clean. I say it that way because you kind of have to get yourself to squeegee it occasionally. If you don't do that, there are products that can be added to the surface of the glass that makes it easier to clean. Enduro Shield is one of them. It's a molecularly bonded protectant that you put on the glass, and it helps it keep it cleaner longer. It'll sheet like soap scum and stuff like that off the doors. You don't always need that. I normally push it more on some of the outer islands that have well water or bad water or a history of water stains on their other glass. So it's not something that I try to push on every single job that I do, but I try to just do it when I see it necessary. But anyway, yeah, it's a beauty. I love them. I mean, I'm a big fan, not only because I sell them, because I think they're visually, really nice to look at, and a lot of times they're a great accent on a, like this house here that's pretty, a lot of traditional but yet modern things in it too. It kind of, just spruces
Sleeker,
it up some.
yeah.
I mean, like I said, I'm a big fan.
Now, for remodeling, you mentioned actually before we started the video a little bit about how sometimes people come across a shower area that isn't square, and so obviously they would need custom glass from a company like Port City Glass. Can you talk a little bit about what Port City Glass does in those scenarios?
Yeah, a lot of times, depending on the type of remodel it is, if we go in there, and I've seen instances where if it's a complete bathroom gutting where we're tearing out everything, and the homeowner's like, my shower door's coming off and this and that, I mean, we'll go in there, and I as a builder, of course, know, but when you get Freddie and them in there, they make sure that the appropriate framing is in the wall. A lot of times shower doors are pulling off the wall because there's no structural member back behind the hinge. There's just a piece of sheetrock, and they've got a couple anchors in there holding it, and eventually you get kids running in and out of the shower, and that door, just when you open it enough, it's going to come off. But a lot of times too, if you're not messing with the walls and it's not a complete gut, you're going to find it in here, that the wall's leaning and the wall's not perfectly square and stuff, and especially if you get into some of the custom cuts that we did here in mine that are still in whatever mini shower, is that Port City, instead of just cutting a square piece of glass to go in there, and then when they come back and they silicone that crack that's against the wall, that you don't have a big fat thick bead of silicone at the top and down here, which when you walk in, if you're a kind of a perfectionist or have the eye for those type of things, it just jumps out at you. But so Port City comes in there, and truly, like Freddie had said, it's a custom shower to where if you're 47 inches down here at the bottom and 47 3/8 up at the top, I mean, it's cut to that, to where your eye doesn't see it when it's off like that, because your eye is drawn to where the two planes meet, that being the wall and the glass, and you see that there's just this nice thing. And I've been on the flip side of it before, back in Greenville before I moved down here, of somebody who comes in there, and it's much easier for a glass cutting company to come in there and say 47 inches, go in there and cut it, and then take a big tube of silicone and whatever, make a big mess, and it just doesn't look good. So it's more time, but again, that's what, as Freddie said, Port City's into the custom glass. And so again, it's just them taking that extra step of that personal level of like, I want it to be like what I would want it in my home. So,
Okay. I do want to touch on the safety of the glass. You know, I'd imagine that some people kind of worry that without a frame that, you know, it could break and it could hurt their children or whatever. Can you explain why that might not be the case?
Well, the glass that's used on any shower, actually, it's a building code that from probably in the 70s, I guess it was, when they changed the building codes to where you had to have safety glass in your bathrooms, your showers, and all. So even the framed shower doors have safety glass, but that glass is usually only 3/16. So the type of glass we use on our heavy shower doors is 3/8 to 1/2 inch, which 3/8 is twice as thick as the 3/16. So since it's thicker and heavier, it is harder to break. And it is safety glass. When it breaks, if it breaks, it will break into a million little pieces, little
Like
probably,
a windshield, sort of?
no, more like a door glass on a car. Windshields stay intact.
Okay.
But the side glasses on a car, when they break, like if someone ever breaks in, it breaks in a million pieces and it's gone. So the shower glass is the same way. If it breaks, it'll break in, just there'll be a pile of glass on the ground if that did happen. But it is safety glass. It's been tempered, which means they run it through an oven, and it changes the molecular structure of the glass and makes it to where it breaks into small pieces instead of shards of glass, which could potentially be like a guillotine and cut something off. I mean, it's true. It's something that I've seen in my experience in the glass business. I've seen people get cut really bad from mirrors or regular glass. But
how long have you been in the business?
Actually, I've been in the business for 27 years.
So you know what you're talking about then.
I think I know what I'm talking about. I sound like I know what I'm talking about at least. But so it is safety glass. You do have to be careful. You can't bang it into a toilet or anything like that. But that's what what he was talking about earlier about the design of it. I try not to design one that has any chance of hitting a toilet or a countertop. There's times where I have a homeowner who's insisting on it swinging a certain way, and I just do my part and just explain that you're creating a potential problem here, and I forewarn them about that and just tell them to be as careful as they can and all that. But once if someone is that set on doing something a certain way that I don't think is right, and they want to do it anyway, I just make sure I warn them of the problems and
but
hope for the
ultimately
best.
the client, gets what they want.
Yeah, exactly. That's the bottom line. Is we try to do what people want. Occasionally, I'll step in and say, you're insane. This is a crazy idea. You need to, rethink this. But usually, I try to do what people want. I mean, because ultimately, they're the ones living in the house, and they're the ones that have to use it every day. And I don't. So it's really up to them on what they decide to do there. But
okay. Well, speaking of your clients, do you have a website, a phone number that people can call to learn more?
Yes,
would they talk to you?
We have well, I'm usually out on the road, so I do have.
You're a very busy man.
I try to be. I have Daphne in the office that does a great job for me. Over the years, I've had plenty of assistants, and I do rely on her heavily because she does a great job. So. Thank you, Daphne. But we have a website. It's PortCityGlass.net.
Okay.
And it's actually just recently been updated and all. And then so we have some pictures. We also do commercial work. So we have our residential side and our commercial side. We do actually do retail business. So if someone needs a piece of glass cut, they can come by and have a glass cut, whether it's for a broken window pane or a tabletop or a mirror replacement, something like that. Usually a lot of like movers, they come by because when they've moved somebody's furniture, they've broken something, and you just come by and get the glass fixed. But our phone number is 577-6500, and there's Daphne's at extension 207, and she's the one who answers the phone anyway.
Okay.
So
Great. And what about for Comer Construction? How can people get a hold
I
of
don't
you?
have a website.
Okay.
I've got my email address is comerconstruction@yahoo.com, and then my cell phone number is 864-787-4555, and which is a Greenville area code. And again, I've been down there for almost 10 years and kept saying that I was going to switch it over.
I still have my California phone number.
Yeah, and it doesn't phase people. So,
Yeah.
and again, and I don't have a big website and stuff because I'm a smaller builder, a local, and most of my stuff is just word of mouth. And I stay plenty busy, knock on wood, and you know, I mean, I love it. We do small jobs, small renovations, as well as building a big house.
Obviously,
So-
I mean, just walking through your home, I can tell that you're talented. So, well, thank you so much for meeting with me. It was a pleasure.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, and we've been speaking with Freddie and Blake of Port City Glass and Comer Construction, and you've been watching us for Charleston Home and Design Magazine.